For the notes for the phylum Annelida, which are segmented worms. So again, the common name for annelids are segmented worms. Some general characteristics is that they do have bilateral symmetry. They do include earthworms and leeches. They are externally segmented, which is reflected on the inside as well, and the internal segments are separated by septum or walls with identical copies of muscles, nerves, and excretory structures. And then members of this group may be land-dwelling or in soil or sediments, or they might be aquatic. Their size will range from 1 millimeter up to 3 meters long, but typically they're going to be in the region of 1 up to 20 centimeters. For some anatomy, they do have a true cloam, meaning they do have a cavity within their mesoderm. They do have compartmentalization of organs, and then they do have movement of parts of their body, right? For their digestive system, food is going to enter through the mouth and then pass through the pharynx and then go through the esophagus where peristalsis is, which is basically kind of like a breaking down the food, almost like a chewing type thing, but not chewing. Then they goes through a crop, which is used for food storage, and then goes into a gizzard, which is for grinding down the food some more, and then it enters the intestines where digestion will take place. They get the nutrients out of it, and then it'll exit out through the anus. So make sure you know all of these in the order. Make sure you're able to label them on this diagram is the one you'll see on your test. So mouth, pharynx, esophagus, crop, gizzard, and intestines. It's not necessarily going to have everything blank, and you will have a word bank to work off of, but make sure you can identify each of these parts on here of the digestive system. All right. For the nervous system, we have cephalization, which is when you have the well-developed nervous system. They have a nerve cord with a ganglion in each segment of their body, as well as an anterior brain. So we've got our first brain in our animals now, right? It's a big milestone for this class. Right? For appendages, they have what are called setae, which are stiff hair-like or bristle-like structures. This got cut off a little bit. These are used for locomotion and may be developed into paddle-like appendages and aquatic worms. Then they may also have parapodium, which are paired muscular bristle-bearing appendages used in locomotion, sensation, or even respiration. Right? For their movement, they do have a hydrostatic skeleton, which comprises of body fluid that's contained within each segment. The segments have longitudinal and circular muscles that work antagonistically or against each other to help them move. So we have here in this diagram, you have the longitudinal muscles relaxed. They're going to extend the body, and then the circular muscles will contract, and then versus the circular muscles are relaxing and the longitudinal muscles are contracting. So when the body's all like thin and stretched out, longitudinal are relaxed and circular are contracted. When the body's all squished together, the circular muscles are relaxed and the longitudinal muscles are contracted. So make sure you know that as well. All right. Moving on to the circulatory system and respiration. They do have a closed circulatory system, and they have 5 pairs of aortic arches. So this is like their version of a heart, but it's not a heart, so don't call it a heart. Most of them will have red hemoglobin in their blood, which is a red protein responsible for transporting oxygen in the blood. They do not have gills or lung. They use diffusion to get oxygen, and they're going to get that through their skin. So back to the diagram we had the digestive stuff on. Just know that these red things, it's cut off right here, but these 5 things are the 5 aortic arches that they have, right? Let's see. For excretion, waste will exit through the anus and a nephridium, which is also spelled another way, nephridia. It's a tubule open to the exterior that acts as an organ of excretion for ammonia. So they don't want a buildup of ammonia, so they have these nephridias to get rid of them, right? For reproduction, most are going to be monocidous, meaning that they have both ovaries and testes. So testes are going to be found in the 10th and 11th segments of the worm, and ovaries will be found in the 13th segment. Then they have a clitellum, which stores the eggs and produces a slime band or a ring that's a protective coat around the eggs, which the clitellum is this like whiter part on the body that's easy to identify. Excuse me. So the ring then slips off the worm and the eggs with it, and they'll hatch a few weeks later. Sorry, I had to get some water. All right. For classes of annelids, we have Ogleochaeta, and these are earthworms, night crawlers, and then for aquatic tubifax worms. Each worm processes its own weight each day in soil, generally, which isn't really that much soil because worms don't weigh much, right? Then there's polyachetae, which are bristle worms, tube worms, and feather dusters. You can see all that here. These are mostly going to be marine species, which often extended setae that form paddles for some kind of swimming, which you can see here. He's got the extended setae to use little paddles to help him swim. They're awfully brightly colored and can be red, pink, or green, or some combination of those, but generally they're going to have bright colors to them. They may be free living and burrow dwelling, or they may make hard calcified tube on rocks as well, on ships and wooden structures, or and stuff in the water. So, right, and last is Hirudindia, or Hirudindina. I don't know how to say these things anymore. Sorry. They are terrestrial / aquatic leeches. Some are parasites. Some are going to be free living. They're going to feed on small invertebrates, including earthworms, which they'll swallow them whole, which is just kind of disturbing. There is a medical leech, which has been used a lot in medicine, especially in the early days of medicine. And that's a picture of one right there. But that's it for annelid notes. If you've got any questions, let me know.